Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on Lockdown Friday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's turn our attention now to fencing in particular and of course speak to the Blacklords Fencing Club. Of course, we've got three very special guests joining us right now that tell us a bit about their fencing journey so far, and they join us right now over Zoom. Thanks all three for joining us.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
I'll get each of you to introduce yourselves and obviously what sort of discipline or weapon do you use normally?
Cool. So I'm Tanika and I've been fencing for 4.5 years, I think. And I also do foil and yeah.
I'm Gabby. I've been fencing the same amount of time as Tanika, so around 4.5 years. So yeah, and I do foil.
My name is Emily. I've been fencing for about 5 years now. I fence foil, so yeah.
For all three, obviously, be some competitions or some events you've already would have done this year if it wasn't for this COVID situation. I guess how sad is that not to be training right now, like with the weapons?
Dude, it's rather strange to be honest. Because of the previous lockdown, we've had that experience before of spending so much time kind of dormant, not doing anything. But we are doing training over Zoom itself for running group classes, but not really particularly with of fencing, mainly physical stuff. It's not really too much practical in sense of applying it to our fencing, but it's always good to keep that level of physicality up while in quarantine. So
and for us, we're really lucky because we live together, so we can actually like train with each other, and we have had little bouts in front of our neighbours, and which they really enjoyed. And yeah, we've just been doing that stuff as well, online group classes. Yeah.
How's the online group classes over Zoom been in the last couple of weeks?
Well, we actually just did one about
half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly just footwork and as Emily said before, strengthening and fitness. Yeah, a lot of push-ups and weights and stuff. So
yeah, it's not so much it's not really too much of departure from what we do back at the club in normal circumstances. It's mostly focused on stuff that we are able to do at home and stuff that don't require as much space that we normally would. So yeah.
Now, I guess what's the thing that you missed the most so far this year, considering that you haven't been back to sort of as a whole club or whole group to do any sort of fencing training at all?
I think I most miss probably the actual fencing itself. The few tiny tastes of freedom that we had in between the two lockdowns were probably a lot more satisfying than you thought it would be, because it was such a great relief from what we had. And then now we're back into the stage where we can't really do anything, kind of really taking that part for granted. But yeah, personally for me, it's more about the fencing itself, being in the action and stuff.
For me, I really enjoy competitions, and because you're with all your friends and you get to yes, it's also about the fencing and being serious and working hard to achieve good things, but it's also a really amazing experience getting to spend time with your friends and cheer for each other and like, especially when we get to do overseas tournaments and like we're doing it as a team for Australia. It's amazing.
Yeah, also like for the international competitions that we used to do like nearly like every year. Like we met, like personally, I've made a lot of friends from other countries, and we see each other at lots of international competitions and like say hi and stuff. So just like not being able to make like more friends and stuff is probably what I miss the most.
Tell us a bit about your coach, Rob.
You can go first, Emily.
I mean, I guess it's fair. I've known him for longer. So, Rob is a very accomplished coach. I'd say so myself. He's kind of what you expect out of a coach. He's serious, but he's also got like, you know, he's not too serious to the point where it's awful to be around. But he knows what it's doing, and genuinely, he's like a great coach who knows what he's doing and helps you achieve a lot along the way. And personally for me, he's also been more of like a mentor as well, in that sense of not just in fencing, but also in, I guess, personal achievement, because it's not just fencing in a sense. It's not just the actions itself. It's also like a mental sport. And in that area, you do need someone always there encouraging you. So it felt really great to have a coach like him to help us that. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Hope he doesn't watch this.
Yeah, so pretty much what Emily was saying, but also, so Rob was our second coach, but we've known him the whole time we've done fencing, and he's kind of just like watched us grow every part of the way. So he knows like what like how we learn and like can understand things. So he knows how to explain it so that we actually can
Learn new skills
and do what he's telling us to achieve well. And yeah.
Yeah, so Rob, he was like like Tanika said, he's been our coach like the whole time we've been doing fencing, because we started at one club and he was our coach there. Then he was the one who actually like told us to come to the club we are now.
Blacklords.
At Blacklords, yeah. So and then we've been taking like private lessons from him and stuff. So yeah.
Now, how did all in fencing? Why did you choose it?
We have an interesting story. So, one time, okay, so this is gonna sound pretty weird, but so we're watching Barbie and the Three Musketeers.
We were about like 7 and 9, so we were at a good age to be watching Barbie.
Yes. And I said to Gabby, like, it's so cool how they do like all those tricks and stuff. And so we started Googling about like becoming musketeers because we were set on this idea. And then we were at our grandma's house and we were talking to her about it. And she's like, you know, I used to do fencing. Like, I could have gone to the Olympics for fencing. I got in. And we were like, you what? And it turns out she got into the Olympics. She was under 20, like, national champions.
Under 20s, like
state champion or something, which is named after her. And so she's pretty big in fencing. And we were just like, whoa. And so she's like, I'll take you to a club to have a look. And we tried it, and then we never looked back. So yeah.
We also had an idea that because in this movie, Barbie had a cat and it would wear little costumes. So we have a dog. So we had an idea that our dog could wear little costumes and like do fencing with us. So yeah.
So that's our story. Emily, you want to go?
Yeah, mine is less flamboyant than that, but still, I guess, interesting to an extent. I was introduced to fencing, and I was actually super reluctant at the start because I despised sport. I did not want to run. I did not want to do anything. And I was introduced by a friend from art who actually did fencing. And my art teacher was like, you would be really good for this sport. You're like your personality would be great. And I was like, I don't really want to do it because it's a sport. So we went to the club and we tried it out. I was super reluctant at first, like I didn't want to be there. And then I had like one lesson with Rob and I was like, you know what, this is pretty good. And I kept on doing it and here I am now. Less flamboyant, but you know, kind of weird.
Yeah, sorry, Tamika and Gabby, I'm going to ask you this question after that response. When you train for fencing, do you still think you're the mustard cues?
No, it's very different to that, but still a good movie and fencing still great.
And Barbie movies are absolutely amazing. I'll have to back you up there.
I know, right?
12 Dancing Princesses, listen, that's iconic film, underappreciated, but everyone should give it a look because it's your life.
Also, we've got another special guest joins in this meeting as well, and of course, I'll get him to introduce himself as well as he can tell us how he got involved in the sport of fencing.
Okay, so my name's Julian Lim. I got involved in the sport of fencing through my dad, actually. He wanted me to do martial arts, but I was pretty young at the time. So his coach told him to start me on fencing, and then I've just stuck with it ever since.
Now, for all four of you, what would be some highlights throughout all four of your fencing journeys so far?
Probably my highlight of my, since I started, was winning under 15 nationals last year and winning the Thailand International last year as well.
Emily, do you want to go?
Listen, I'm not as good as Julian. I'll put that out there. My greatest achievement, I guess, for me personally, I'm not too set on like medals and stuff. I'm more about the experience kind of fencer. And I guess my personal highlight was under 17s teams last year. We were going pretty bad against New Zealand and we were losing by a few points, like a decent few points. And I managed to kind of close that gap and put us back there. And we actually won that round. So we won gold that. Yeah. And personally, another one was, I was in Thailand as well. It was for a under 14s competitions and I came, I think, 6th out of, got the number, but it was quite a lot of people. And for that time, I had only done fencing for about 3 to 4 years. It was like a really big kind of victory for me personally. Yeah.
Okay. Mine's also in Thailand. Yeah, so again, I'm not like big on like medals and stuff because I'm not like as good as Julian in getting gold. But last year in Thailand, it was an under 16s competition and I was just set on having fun and like, this is going to be just a fun day. And I actually got 6th in the international competition, which was really amazing. So, yeah.
Well, probably my highlight was in like Bangkok and Singapore. I'm not sure what age category it was, but I got I can't remember what, like it was, I was top 8 in both of those competitions, and I had only been doing fencing for 2 or 3 years, so that was quite a big achievement for me because it was an international competition. So yeah.
Now, I have to ask, what's the thing about playing the sport of fencing, especially being part of the Blacklords fencing club?
It's just like the experience and the exhilaration that comes with it, as well as being in such a huge community as Blacklords. We are like technically one of the largest clubs in Australia. So there's a lot of us, and it's great to have that community around you. While also fencing itself, it's like, for me personally, it's like the exhilaration that comes from being on that piste and fencing another person. It just puts you into your own little world of just like, everything happens in a split second, but that split second is so slow for you at the same time. It's just really, it's that adrenaline rush that comes for it.
Julian, you can go.
I think for me, because doing in this sport, I find is you find so many different. There's so many ways to win and so many different ways to lose, and it's like a very it's a very interesting way of thinking when you're on the piste. You almost feel like you're almost not thinking, but you're making so many decisions so quickly, I think, that it feels like almost everything's blurred together. And a fencing a bout only goes for a max of 9 minutes, but depending on how challenged you are in the bout, it can feel like 9 minutes can feel like an hour or 2 hours to you when you're in the moment. And yeah, being part of the club for me is a really good experience because there's a really big sense of community, even obviously in this time of lockdown, where you still have contact with each other. So yeah.
So for me, I'm a very social person. So it's my favorite part is the friendships and the connections I make with the people around me. Because even though like fencing is technically an individual sport and like it's not like football or rugby where you play in a team and you like depend on each other, it's all up to you, but you still have the support of everyone around you, and yeah, that's just really special. And yeah, again at Blacklords, everyone is so lovely and friendly, and it just makes you want to like go back and just go there and have fun and train, and yeah.
Well, kind of a combination of what everyone said. Like, I'm a very competitive person, so I do like actually like competing and just like bouting with people at the club because it is fun, and it also gives like an extra like training. So also like Tanika said, it's like going to Blacklords, it's really good for also like making friends and connections. So, yeah.
Now, I have to ask this question. Now, if any of you got any brothers and sisters that are involved in the sport, who's the better fencer?
Oh, definitely me.
For us, it's like one day one of us will like smash the other person, like absolutely obliterate them. But then the other day it'll be the other way around. Like a lot of the time at competitions though, it's like
5-4
on like 9 all, and then it'll be so stressful, and then and then I'll get in trouble if I win. So
Yeah, but it's also good because even if we do get like mad at each other, if the other person wins, we kind of can't stay mad because we have to go home and live with each other.
so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it so amusing. It's great.
Not my sister. Actually, my dad. My dad does fence a little bit. He hasn't done it for a while. He's not been doing it very long, but he likes it a lot, and but I just think he hasn't had enough experience in it to really know what it's like.
But yeah. I can't really say anything. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so
Now,
I have nothing else to add.
now, of course, I have to ask. Anyone can answer this question, which is, what would be your advice to our listeners out there that should get involved in fencing?
Don't be afraid of bruises.
Yes, that's
They're a lot more better than what would you get at like if you do volleyball. They're a lot more better than what you get at volleyball, rugby, or footy. Like they're small ones that doesn't hurt that much. So, and the conversations I've had with my friends, it's like they're always, oh, I'm so scared of bruises. What if I get hurt? It's like you're wearing 3 layers. You're not going to get hurt. It might get hurt if you get hit on the bone, but that's temporary. And if you really want to do it, just go out there, do it. Same advice for everything.
I think the thing about fencing is that I think a lot of people might be hesitant to do it because it's got a really, it's a really hard sport to start. I think more so than almost any other sport because there's so many things that you have to learn, and it uses very different muscle groups than a lot of other sports, and it just really challenges your coordination. And I think a lot of people might not might get like dejected or whatever when they first start because it's got a really difficult starting point. But I think once you understand everything, it's a really fun sport to do, whether you do it competitively or whether you do it just for fun. So yeah.
For fencing, it's kind of like if you can think of it as like a triangle. You have this really big base that you kind of have to master before you go on to anything else. But after you do, everything else becomes, I guess, second nature to you, and it just kind of brings it up a level. It's like when you first get started, everything's really hard and difficult. You're like, I don't really want to do this. But once you kind of get a hang of what's going on, everything else becomes second nature. You know exactly what you're doing, and it just becomes a much more enjoyable experience overall.
I just want to add one more thing, that if anyone like give advice to anyone, it's just give what's like, and then they're like, oh, I would hate to do that, I would never do that. But then when they try it, they're like, oh, this is actually really fun. Like, I can't believe you do this. Like, it's actually fun. So just give it a go. Like, you might like it. And it's really good for your brain and your legs. And yeah.
Yeah, on Tamika's like note, like I think when people see it, because it's not a very common sport, so definitely for me, when I first started, I thought all the gear and stuff looked a bit weird. So I didn't really want to like try it out because I didn't really expect that you would have to wear that much stuff. But as you get more like, I don't know what's the word, like better at fencing, then like the gear just becomes natural. So, and it's not weird. So, like Tanika said, just give it a go.
Now, we'll finish with one light-hearted question, which is any embarrassing moments in the sport of fencing for either of you?
I had, when I was competing in Thailand and I was in the under 17, and there was a situation with the pools where there were 2 pools. So once you finished your first round of pools, they would put you in another pool and you do that. And then afterwards, you would go on to your direct elimination. I fenced my pocket for the entire time. And that was awful. It was absolutely, the thought that I could have just fallen and just smashed my entire phone on the metal strip was horrific. And it wasn't embarrassing for like me per se in the terms of like everyone else staring at you. It was more embarrassing in the sense of, oh, I could have done that. But yeah, that's kind of like one of the most embarrassing things. Some of the times I end up doing a split on the piece, but that's less embarrassing after a while. So, you know, just get some better quality shoes.
This didn't happen to me personally, but I was so a group of us, I was with Emily was there as well. We went to New Zealand for Oceania under 17s, and one of our friends had a really bad day at the competition the next day because he ate like too many, like Tim Tams. He ate like a whole box, like 2 boxes, and then he couldn't compete properly.
Mine's very similar to what Emily was saying. One time I was fencing and I was like stepping backwards, and I can't remember who. It could have been Julian. Someone was coming really fast at me, and I tripped over my own foot, and fell backwards. And yeah, it wasn't great at the time, but it's funny looking back on it. So yeah.
I had this wasn't really in a competition per se, but we were training. It was during that small period of time that we could train between the 2 lockdowns, and we were in a group class, and we have a game where you get called out names and called out numbers, and you have to go and snatch a glove in the middle of the 2 teams, and you have to run back while getting it. So I got the glove, and I was running backwards, and then I tripped, and I fell on my butt, and I fell so hard that my tailbone was bruised, and I actually couldn't continue the rest of the training session because my entire lower half was just in pain. All because of a game. That was really fun. And now I'm traumatized from the game. I never want to do it again. And everyone here was there, I think. Was Julian there? I don't know, but I knew Gabby and Tanika was there, and that was quite embarrassing in terms of falling backwards. And then I rolled while falling backwards. I didn't just fall. I fell and rolled.
Well, Oi, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having all 4 of you on the show. Hopefully we can see you back into normal training very soon once we all get our lockdown, and hopefully I can maybe come out to one of your training sessions and see what you do out there, and obviously best of luck.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
No worries, and of course that's the Blacklords fencing club there. Of course, we'll put all the details up on how you can go about getting down there and get involved in the club. Of course, we'll put all those details in the next couple of days or so. There's more on Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away here on Lockdown Friday.